St. Catharines. November 7, 1941. Dear Margie. Your letter received today, dear. I think I will answer tonight as I'm going to town tomorrow night. Glad you liked the camera. I didn't know what to get as the mail is risky. The camera caught my eye and I knew you wanted one. We can give it a good try a week Sunday. From your letter I gather that the weekend is all arranged. I'll come over Saturday evening, but just what time I can't say, but I'll get over as soon as I can make it. Haven't we had dirty weather? It's rained nearly every day this week. The mud is about 6 inches deep everywhere. You can imagine what the tent floors are like. Men are leaving every day as they are losing too much time because of the wet. I'm glad I'm inside or I wouldn't stay. However, the inside job will last a few days longer, so I'm praying for decent weather. Give me the good old north for weather, it's just one jump from fall to winter. Mother said that they had a little snow, but it didn't last. We had some fun here last night. 3 lads came in pretty pickled and started to scrap just outside our tent. Another lad and I went out and watched them. It was better than any comic show you ever saw. They would take a crack at one another, miss and fall flat in the mud. They were really a mess, you couldn't tell which was which for the mud. After they got wet and cold, they started for their tent, but the lads in it threw them out. We left them in the bath tent trying to get their clothes off. They are still good friends. Well, darling, I am wondering whether you will be with the same firm this time next week. You are as bad as me jumping from one job to the next. You might as well take the best paying one, as you won't be working for companies much longer. By the way, can you darn socks? I forgot to ask. You see, I expect to have quite a pile of them for you to start on next spring. That will give you a good start, eh? All joking aside, dear, I can hardly wait for spring or until I can get enough money together. If I am really good, I may be ready before that, will you? All my love, darling, drop me a line and give me all the news. Jean da Shoes. As ever. Roger XX. St. Catharines. November 19, 1941. Dear Margie. Just a line, dear, as I won't get a chance until about Friday if I don't write now. You see, it's school tonight and Thursday. Gosh, I felt downhearted coming back here Monday morning, some change in the environment. I arrived just in time for breakfast, and when I walked into the dining room all dressed up, did the boys ever razz me? The odd one still kids me along thinking I was on a binge. Yesterday was payday, and about 30 men walked off the job. I can't blame the laborers, as some checks were about $25 for the 2 weeks, after board and taxes were deducted. That's not much these days, especially if one has a family to keep. I don't know how they do it. However, a new job has started near here and they are paying more money, so I guess they will have to raise the wages here as well. Say, dear, have you been able to find that book I told you about, the one on elementary surveying? I looked around the bookstores here but no luck, some dump. Well, darling, it's getting close to time, so had better skedaddle. You see, it's just a little after 7 in the morning. So dear, so long for now. I love you truly, Margie. Write soon, dear. As ever. Roger XXXX. St. Catharines. November 23, 1941. Dear Margie. Your letter, dear, arrived yesterday. I was beginning to wonder whether you were going to answer this week. It's hard enough not seeing you more often, darling, and I do look for your letters. I'm glad your folks took the news of Barb and Peter so well. It's much better that way, as I'm afraid they will need a hand until they are able to adjust themselves. Got a letter from home, everything went off okay and Mother had no setback. Mrs. George had the wedding dinner or supper at our house and Gil carried Mother downstairs for nearly an hour. She enjoyed it and there was no setback. The doctors said the excitement didn't seem to hurt her one bit. Gil and Enid received a bunch of swell gifts and Gil got a real supply of clothing from the war workers in that town, as he is the first flyer to complete his course and leave for overseas. I got a card from Enid mailed from Montreal. She said I could call her sister now and asked when she could call you the same. Also, a bit of a rub about spending weekends in Niagara. She thought it looked suspicious. She must be a regular sleuth, eh? Gracie Fields was here last week. I tried to see her, but the place was sold out at 7 o'clock. I was disappointed, but there was nothing I could do about it. So, I saw another picture, Lady Be Good, and was it ever good? The theme song was Lady Be Good, and they also sang The Last Time I Was in Paris. As a rule, I detest these so-called musical plays, but this one was different. Went to town last night to get a pair of big rubbers and then went with a bunch of lads to Port d'Elbevoire. From there to a joint near Thorold, arriving in camp about 3 in the morning. Do I feel terrible? But guess I can take it as I was the only one who could drive home and the only one at breakfast this morning. I made up my mind that I am never going to get drunk again, and last night was a good test for me. I feel I came through okay. Well, darling, how did the pictures turn out? Good, I hope. I will see them next week, won't I? It's getting pretty close to mealtime again, dear, and you know me. You had better learn to be a good bake cook. I love pastry. Guess I had better fold up, dear. All my love, darling, and write soon. As ever. Roger XXXX.